Hey guys, Mike here in Taiwan, and I want to talk to you guys today about nothing. Weird, right? It's like we have this kind of fascination in society right now where everything has to be stimulating. You have to watch videos that have to get something out of it. You have to learn something, maybe how to make more money, how to be more relaxed, have something where they make a joke or something like that. But what about just nothing? Like, I was just been wondering, like, these days, like, why do we really need anything? Why can't we just sit with ourselves and meditate? And I think that's just such a rare skill. And it doesn't really cost anything either. I think what really kind of made me think about this was I went to a restaurant this morning and I saw this old guy. He was like really nearsighted. And he was like, he got out of his chair. He's like waiting for the people to bring him his food. And he was kind of like wondering, like, why aren't they not bringing my food? It's like he's almost like performing for an audience. When he was like in front of the restaurant, he was like talking to somebody, like he was like saying something really important, and I swear that it wasn't really that important. He kind of stretches himself out on the chair, trying to like take up more space. And maybe I'm like reading too much into it or something like that, right? But why can't he just relax and just sit there? But it's just like people, we always need something. When we're just like walking in the street, like I see so many people just walking with their phone, their head down, looking at the phone. And I mean, yeah, that's another issue too, is the phone, right? But like nobody's just like looking up at the world, like look at the sky, look at the sun, look at the trees. They just think, okay, well, it's just here, it's just whatever. It's kind of like, why is it that why is it that diamonds are so precious, but then water is not? But water is so much more useful, right? It's because water is so plentiful, at least right now anyway, and diamonds are rare, right? So it's kind of like the value of it is, I don't know, it's weird these days about how people, they just need all this stimulation and attention, and it's like we're almost even going after that, right? Like, the new normal, I've talked about this before, is people, they want to have like 1 million followers, and that's like their goal, right? They don't want to like be the CEO of a company anymore. They don't want to, what would you rather have, 1 million followers or $1 million? And I think that's probably the verdict is out 50-50 on whether like they'd want one or the other. But I'd suggest to you, probably, if you're a young person, you probably want like the 1 million followers, because you can, using those 1 million followers, you can get the $1 million. And even $1 million like isn't a lot these days. Like you can't just like go somewhere and just retire in that like for the rest of your life and never work without like putting it into something, investments, property, something like that. There's so many just things. I just feel, when you start, and you just like sit there and think about it, like time is like moving like really quickly. And like I feel like people, they're just like taking their time for granted. Like, oh yeah, well, I'll just do that next year. I'll get that job next year. I'll study for that thing next year. I'll get pregnant next year. And it's like, guys, like you don't have time. And I'm not saying that you need to rush into something and not really, think about it. But at the same time, really think about like your time and like how valuable it is. I think a lot of us are very wary of trying to make like the right choices. We think, okay, well, if I make this wrong choice, then I'm gonna regret it for the rest of my life or whatever it is, right? But time, I don't want to say time heals all wounds, but when you're like thinking about how time will pass anyways, regardless if you make a decision or not. It's only since I've been in Taiwan, I've heard this thing, or like I've heard about this thing before when I was in Canada. It's called analysis paralysis. Basically, you're thinking why about something, and the time passes regardless if you're trying to like sit on the fence on the decision about this, whether you want to do this thing or not anyway. It could be like a business deal, or it could be, getting a job and going over to like some place, right? And then you just sit on it. A lot of people, like they let their lives like pass them by, because they're just thinking about, okay, well, I have this degree, or I have this experience. Well, let me just sit on it for a while, right? Well, but don't sit on it for too long. I mean, I would say probably maximum like take 30 days to reflect and like just do nothing if you want to. But if you're going to be trying to like make it and be successful in doing something, I mean, you're probably going to have to like make a move after that. You only have 1,440 minutes in a day. So what are you going to be spending it on? Are you going to be spending on, your anger or your sadness, thinking about things that you can't change? That's another thing that you could probably focus on today, is just letting things go. Why is it a problem that your coworker did that thing yesterday? Are you going to, how much money would it take for you to buy back yesterday? You can't buy back yesterday, right? And if your coworkers like really bother you that much and you're getting angry that much, then maybe it's time to just relocate, just find something else. There's this martial art called Aikido, which is the principles of Aikido are really great. Your people who you have conflict with, like, they could be your friends, maybe they're just being misunderstood. Redirecting negative energy. Why is it that we have to hold on to this like negative energy? There's like this monk video that I saw something about with like a negative energy and anger. It's like, I have a present, right? And I give it to somebody. But if that person doesn't want that present, then who does that present belong to? It belongs to me, right? It's kind of like anger. I have this anger inside, and when I get angry, I give it to somebody. But then when that person says, okay, that's not my anger, then who does it belong to? It belongs to me, right? So I just need to let go of that anger, and just figure out some way to do it. There's this thumbnail that I saw yesterday that was really interesting about how you should, love difficult things. Now, like, really think about, what does that mean? It means that if there's something that's difficult in your life that, you have to, like, you need to do it, and it's really difficult, but you're just sitting on your butt on the couch and thinking like, oh my God, it's too difficult, I don't want to do it, right? Not everything in life is going to be easy that you really need to do. I was talking to one of my little students yesterday about that, and I don't really think it like went into his head, because he's just a kid. He was really tired. And I feel really bad for him because his mom doesn't really know how to speak English. And he goes to like an American school, or international school, where he has to do all like the translation and stuff. No, I think that it would have been better for him to just like leverage like AI or something, and then talk about whatever he wants to talk about with his teacher with his mom. I'm kind of like off on a tangent right now, right? But guys, it's just, life is just going by right so fast, and you have to be grateful for the things you got. Maybe it might be useful for you to just sit there for 10 minutes, 15 minutes in like one day and just think about nothing. Just try to calm down. Don't be so angry, don't be so sad. You don't even have to like necessarily like, don't be happy at that moment, but just feel nothing and kind of get yourself centered. We have like so little of that every single day. So that's my 2 cents about today, and hopefully that brings you some peace. I'll see you guys later. Bye.